Hello everybody, my name is Brittany COF, and here we go. On the morning of June 9th, 1964, a woman by the name of Jerry Santoro was found dead in a Connecticut motel room. The previous year, the 28-year-old had fled to the East Coast to save herself and her two young daughters from her abusive husband, Sam. Once on the East Coast, she falls in love with another man and is carrying his child. Jerry fears that if her husband finds out that she's carrying another man's baby, that he'll either kill her or kidnap her two daughters. So desperate and so terrified, she seeks to obtain an illegal abortion. So the father of her child attempts to insert a catheter into her cervix, fails miserably, and leaves her alone to die. She was found the next morning, and her photograph was then posted all over local newspapers and became a huge awakening for the abortion movement. Jerry Santoro represents one of the many women who suffered because the society in which they lived was unwilling to provide them legal and safe abortions. Although abortions are now legal in the United States, there's still a lot of restrictions on them that make them almost impossible to get in some areas. And this topic is really controversial right now, especially with the new president that we have in office. All of this leads me to my main claim, which is that the access to legal abortions is beneficial to women. And this happens for two main reasons. Number one, legal abortions protect women's health. Number two, women seek dangerous alternatives when they cannot obtain a legal abortion. Now, we're going to define a legal abortion as an induced termination of a pregnancy that is obtained within a medical facility by a licensed practitioner who is permitted by law to perform such procedure. Now, my first point, legal abortions protect women's health. Having a legal abortion is actually safer for women than giving birth. According to Dr. Susan Dudley, 97% of women who obtain early abortions, which are legal and within the first 13 weeks of pregnancy, report no complications, as opposed to the multiple complications that occur during the act of giving childbirth. In 2008, Fit Pregnancy and Baby reports that 94% of births involved complications. Now, although most of these complications weren't fatal, that's still a considerably large amount compared to the amount of complications that there were with abortions. That's a 3% chance of women getting complications with abortion, and a 94% chance of women getting complications with birth. So clearly, abortion is a safer alternative than giving birth if you're looking into an adoption as a possible way to, not parent your child. And then my second point is that where abortion is illegal, the illegal abortions that take place can threaten women's health. Between the 1880s and in 1973, abortion in the United States was legal. And during that time, women sought unsafe alternatives, as we saw, the analogy in the beginning of my speech, that were performed by unlicensed practitioners. And in countries where abortion is illegal, one of the leading causes of maternal deaths are unsafe illegal abortions performed by people who are not certified to have such procedures. For example, abortion is highly restricted in Latin America, and according to a study from Reproductive Health Matters, 12% of maternal deaths come from unsafe illegal abortions. And then in the same study, in Colombia, the fifth leading cause of maternal mortality is illegal, unsafe abortions. And in places like Colombia, there are contraceptive methods, but most people who use contraceptive methods are educated urban women. And the same is true for the United States, although on a much smaller scale, because the United States has a better education system. But since Donald Trump has been president, education on abortion has been halted. So that's why all of this information is so vital right now in society. So to summarize my argument that the access to legal abortions are beneficial to women's health, number one, legal abortions protect women's health. Number two, where abortions are illegal, women seek dangerous alternatives. Thank you.
All right, Brittany, the proposition's clear. The preview is fine. It's only two simple points that you're presenting, so we shouldn't be getting too lost. The controversy on the issue is probably, I'm not exactly sure. There's plenty of controversy on the subject of abortion. The controversy concerns the health issues that are related to women on abortion, and I think that the way you talk about it, there's enough to believe that there is a dispute about which is, in fact, safer, and that's what basically goes into that first point, is some statistical information. Now, you do seem to recognize that the complications are not always fatal. I'm sure that part of the reason that people who object to abortion do so is because they see every abortion as being a fatality, of course, but it's not a maternal fatality, it's the infant's fatality, and so that's part of the difference in the way it is perceived by the sides involved in this particular argument. I thought that you did the right thing in presenting information about the relative security of early abortions, the lack of complications that are going on there. I thought you had some pretty good information there. The source citations on that are a little bit ambiguous, and I think they need to be sharper. And in fact, that's kind of the last time that I've heard very specific references to any sources. After that, there's not really a lot. I assume that your factual data about South American countries is correct, but there's no source on that. You do present a claim at one point. It's not really a separate claim, but kind of a minor claim on your second point that says that since President Trump's been in office, education on contraceptive is stopped. And I'm going, really? Where's that information? I don't get a source on that. I don't know anything about such a claim. So you've got to be very careful about making assumptions here without offering some proof on those particular points. I think that's a little bit problematic. Like I said, I thought the statistics you had on the first point were pretty good. Make sure you cite them. The material on the second point, you've got a good example that you use as an attention device. And then you've got some information about South American countries. I shouldn't say South American, Latin countries is what you identified. I assume that they're generally South American in nature, but maybe they are other parts of the world as well. But it's, like I said, the maternal death rates, it's, 12% of the maternal deaths. That's a reasonable percentage. I don't know how significant that is, though, and the notion that it's related to illegal abortions, I think you need to give us a little bit more information on that source citations. I thought you had a very clear summary at the end of the speech reminding us of what the point that you were trying to make, and that was fine. All right, thank you.